All right, Dan Gunny Gunsberg, welcome to the Dirty Diggler podcast. You happen to be my first official interviewee guest, so how does that make you feel?
I mean, I'm completely honored, especially from a guy named Dirty Diggler. One of the top, probably one of the top 5 movies of all time.
Dude, right? Boogie Nights? Come on. All right, so you're the co-founder of Hxro Network. And before we jump into that, I wanted to get up to speed on you. But I figured because you're a pretty seasoned podcaster, you've done this a few times, so I'm going to do the TLDR for you, and you just let me know where I went wrong. So essentially, you started in 1994 in TradFi. You went entry level all the way to C-suites. Then you popped the BTC red pill. And then 2017 into 2018, Hxro starts to take its concept. And you guys, what I understand is you and your co-founder Rob decided you wanted to bring your previous experience in the trading world with derivatives on chain.
That is pretty much it. The first genesis of Hxro was a Web 2 product called MoonRekt, which was a parimutuel option, like a floating strike option that we actually invented. And it's amazing to see because there's a lot of sites and platforms now that carry some version of it. And we actually technically own the IP on it, which is interesting. We started building that in 2018, launched it in 2019. And then in 2020, when Serum launched, we were like, hey, Solana can make a real market work on chain. And that's when we went down. We said, look, the time is now to start on derivatives market infrastructure. And here we are today, a couple of years later.
So then 2020 was the Solana red pill.
2020 was the Solana red pill. We wanted to build it on Ethereum early. We talked to a couple different, people about it, and it didn't make sense with given its throughput and cost structure and everything. Just made no sense. And we talked to a couple other blockchains, and then I have to hand it to Kyle Samani actually, kind of red pilled me on Solana, and then the rest is history.
Interesting. Okay, leading in from there, what I wanted to ask you, since I did your intro for you, what's it been like being a founder, building through this last bear market? And what does it also feel like being one of the only remaining 2020, 2021 Solana protocols thriving?
I mean, look, I've been an athlete my whole life, and I have this innate survival skill that I refuse to die. I think that's a human, goes back to hunter-gatherer days or something. But no, seriously, this bear market has been very challenging. We built through the 2018, 2019 period as well, and that came with its own challenges. But the market as a whole was way smaller. There was way less interest. You didn't have a lot of the same headwinds that you have now. I don't know, maybe there just wasn't as much riding on it at the time, but we built through that and we came out of it, and it proved to be valuable that we survived it. And then obviously it's always longer than expected. And if I'm speaking honestly, I'll say something about just maybe on behalf of founders. I think founders tend to, and I've done this as well, and maybe it's the good founders, and there's some balance between self-welfare and as a founder and martyrdom. And the crypto space is especially unforgiving. And especially now that you have this mix of traditional-ish VCs plus anonymous internet trolls. When things go bad, it magnifies times 100. And look, there's thousands of projects out there that just didn't survive or didn't work out. There's other ones that were complete rugs or were complete vapor, or didn't have a mission, and weren't working towards any type of milestone. And just a couple of devs that decided to raise some money in a time when it was easy to raise money and really didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And I think that has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So it's a scary thought that the baby can get thrown out with the bathwater. Oftentimes, there's a lot of founders that whether it's in the Solana ecosystem or elsewhere that have really good intentions, and they're here to build. And if things don't go well or go their way, it's not about like, hey, like we failed fast, or hey, we gave it our best effort. It's like, here's all the things you did wrong. And most founders like don't they're almost like they're like the captain on the ship. It's like you can be a hero or you can be an absolute zero. And if things don't work out, like you're the one that has to go down with the ship. If you're a good intention founder, like you've pushed. My co-founder and I we pushed all in on this. Our entire life is in Hxro. And so I think there's this balance of being aware of needing to have self-welfare, and like you have to still be human, and then balancing that with being in crypto and really being able to have that other identity that really like, it is what helps drive whatever project, whatever protocol you're building forward. And I think maybe to kind of TLDR it, I think that a lot of early and like less seasoned investors, a lot of people in communities, they really underestimate the true risk that a founder is taking and what they're sacrificing to make their project go.
That's really insightful. No, I really align with that. One of the things that comes to my mind is when I hear people talk about like, they start speculating on tokens and they start thinking about, oh, well, we're talking about the new bull market and we only want to touch shiny new coins. And like I've been guilty of talking about, Solana 2.0. But like when I talk about Solana 2.0, protocols like Hxro get to be included in that. This should be, if anything, you guys have been here longer and you've been building through so much more shit that you're even more vetted.
Yeah, I mean, look, we didn't even address the white elephant in the room, which is FTX, like for everybody, which, I think maybe we're in the later innings of like seeing that flush out of the system. I mean, it's going to take a lot longer now, to really get it out. But I think, to your point, a lot of that like 1.0, like Hxro was not a 1.0. Hxro technically is still it's an ERC20. Like it didn't spawn out of like an FTX uh, love triangle. Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't work like that. It came to Solana already a seasoned token, and I think when people talk about DeFi 1.0 or Solana 1.0 in the token context, they're talking about these low float, high FDV, like maps or Oxy or things like that, founders that didn't really understand that, like, it was really these FTX backed projects that were really just backdoor ways for FTX to launch perps and then like turbo hedge their massive positions by just like constantly selling the perp. And fortunately Hxro wasn't that. So
yeah, you know what, you make valid points. I was in the Oxy ICO and played all those games, and I completely agree with you. They are different, and I consider myself as part of the Solana ecosystem because I've gone in the last few months. I've gone pretty much full Solana. I don't forget EVM or IBC because I'm not an idiot, but I'm just really starting to align more with Solana. And it's nice to see that we're all kind of as a team pushing it together. It's not a PvP market when it comes to protocols in Solana. It's very much like community focused and what makes sense to partnership with who. And I like that. That makes me more and more bullish long term.
I couldn't agree more. One thing I'll say with Hxro is we built on Solana, and I mean this genuinely, like I've said this publicly, is we came to Solana because it was the right tech for what we wanted to build. And so it wasn't because we were bullish on the token. Like we truly, genuinely believed that for derivatives and betting infrastructure, that it was the perfect blockchain to do it on. And it had the right throughput capabilities, had the right cost structure. And a lot of the engineers that we were meeting very early on all came from traditional finance, from the trading side of things. And they're a very tight, very smart community at the center of Solana that really can make it move. And Also, like the huge community of guys like you that can really help spread the value proposition of it. And so Hxro itself, that bottom layer being on Solana is ultimately important. When we think about expanding Hxro, like over time, the idea is that people should be using Solana, but not knowing that they're using Solana. They're building from Hxro's infrastructure that is built on top of Solana. But it's, and I think it's important because without that, you end up getting too tribal. Like, and you lose a massive market of users that are like, they're EVM based. And now there's things that are being built like via MetaMask, or like Soulflare is doing some cool stuff. We have some projects that are building, that are in the Hxro ecosystem, that are doing like some EVM connectivity stuff. Like all of that, I think, it should be kind of like the tectonic plate under the crust of the continent, and Hxro's the continent. Like, you don't think about the tectonic. You're not like, oh, I'm on this particular tectonic plate. I'm living in China or wherever I'm living.
That's like the analogy there works perfect too, because you have global citizens and then you have people that are wholly identified by one country or one state. And so like, are you ETH maxi, is Solana maxi? And you're right. I think you leave a lot on the table by trying to disclose yourself as one. And that's why every time I say I enjoy Solana a lot, I always preface it with I also am an EVM IBC enjoyer. I'm not going to pigeonhole myself.
That's smart. Like you said, yeah, if you're in the crypto world, like, how can you not be? And even if like just having an appreciation for what it is about the other blockchains that drive people. And like the Ethereum EVM world has caught massive network effects that have not quite hit Solana yet. Like, they will eventually, but my position on it is I don't want it to be about euphoria on Twitter and everybody acting giddy. Like, I want it to be because there is a like impenetrable, badass, hyper fast, very usable, easy to build blockchain that the Hxro ecosystem can rely on and not ever risk having like a Google Glass moment. And you know what I mean? Like, that's the extent of why it's important to me. And some of the things that I'm seeing come out already, and some of the dApps that are getting built on top of Hxro Network are very much going to blow people's minds, I'm pretty sure. Not going to know you're on Web3.
I believe that. I think now's a good time to jump into some question rounds on Hxro, getting a little bit to more protocol level stuff. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. You guys refer to Hxro as the shared liquidity layer, which I think makes a lot of sense. And my question is, if you were to title a book, The Hxro Network for Dummies, how would you describe the introduction?
I would open it by saying Hxro is an ocean, and to have an ocean has many inlets to it that have lakes and ponds connected to it. And ultimately everything drives back to the ocean. So that's exactly what it is. Ideally over time is you have this ocean of liquidity, and then you have all of these dApps that have their own liquidity, and all of that liquidity feeds down and bottoms out into Hxro's ocean. And that ocean is shared by all of the dApps in the ecosystem, which means all the liquidity is shared. And that creates kind of a virtuous cycle of liquidity that creates a sustainable marketplace for builders, traders, punters, bettors, everybody to come interact with and build on top of.
Well done. Yeah. I'd read that book. I think it would have pictures. It would have pictures. It would be nice.
Me too, man. We could draw some. Draw some really cool pictures off.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, and that's actually leads into a good one. So, speaking of liquidity, from what I understood back in FTX days, you guys had an agreement with them to be a bit of the source for liquidity. If I may ask, where does the source for the liquidity mostly come from now?
Yeah, so I think that was Alameda that relationship was with, and that actually was the kind of the old Hxro 1.0 pre DeFi. There was a product that was created in I think we created in 2020 called Tix, which were basically like one-touch options where Alameda was the primary liquidity behind it. And we built some bridging technology between the two, between FTX. So if you were an FTX user, you could go create a Tix wallet. And there were, these kind of very esoteric style trading / betting markets that were pretty cool. So now liquidity comes from base market makers. Like first of all, there's now market making on in Hxro Network is completely open source. You can go into the repo and there's a script in there that you can grab, that anybody could grab. And if you have a trader account set up, you can run this script and start making markets in it. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's the most strategic script, but it's a reference implementation that somebody with even basic coding skills could use. There are market makers in Hxro Network that provide the base scaffolding liquidity that is there. That kind of solves the need for, if I'm a dApp and I can come to Hxro Network and just plug in, all of their liquidity is ingressing into those markets, and it all is 100% shared. So if Dirk Diggler is trading on NoloBot and you put an order in via NoloBot, that order goes into the Dexterity market for that particular product. And that order is seen by every other dApp that's connected to Hxro Network. So it's shared markets, just, very similar, very much analogous to OpenBook, right? Except it's all USDC settlement. It's not tokenized, and it has its own separate risk engine, which is something we call Spandex that runs risk for it as well.
Nice. And for anybody that doesn't know OpenBook, it was previously Open Serum, which was the community fork of Serum that had all the issues in the FTX days. But the community stepped in to be like, no, this is good tech. We need to keep this going for Solana DeFi. And thus, this is as it exists. No token on the horizon for OpenBook.
Exactly. I think you got to get louder about that.
Yeah, I've been in there. I've asked. Actually, you don't even have to ask. You just go up into the search section in Discord and type in WEN token, WEN. That's intro to researching. All right, nice. Okay, that makes sense. You know what? Let's jump into the zero-dated futures now. I want to ask it in the same kind of premise as explaining it as if we're teenagers, because I know it's brought up a little bit of confusion, and I've spoken to a few different people in different protocol groups or market makers to say, is this going to assist you? So what I'm most excited for with the zero-dated futures is that there's the potential to have market makers make markets with low liquidity shitcoins. I love the idea of these perpetual markets being able to come in, but I still have these kind of concerns about the liquidity. I get the Oracle part of it, but the lack of liquidity. How do these ZDFs overcome that portion?
Great question. And what it really comes down to is when a market maker thinks about market making, it's what he thinks about it. Obviously he wants P&L out of it, but first and foremost is about risk management, because really what market making is providing a market for the transfer of risk, right? And so they want that, and they want capital efficiency. So the issue of why you can't get good liquidity oftentimes in shitcoin derivatives is because market makers are really unwilling to put any market up, because imagine a low liquid, like an illiquid shitcoin trading as the underlying Oracle price on a perp. There might be funding to help this and whatnot, but it really doesn't. The market maker could theoretically have two scenarios that could go bad for them. One is they get kind of like game stopped, where you have a mob of traders that just are going one way on it. And those traders have more staying power than the market maker does. And then the market maker has to get out. But there's a problem, is that the market maker there has to be liquidity for the market maker to actually get out. So what happens when the market maker is the liquidity? right? And now they're stuck short in a perp that doesn't expire. And then like there's no offer for them to buy back, and they're just sitting there like max short, right? Liquidation, cascading liquidation into a liquidation into an illiquid market. The underlier is illiquid. The underlier can also be very easily manipulated, right? The underlier is the oracle price, is the spot price, is the spot. So like in the context of like Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10 Inu, which was the first ZDF. Actually, the ETH ZDF is the first one that launched, but the Harry Potter one was kind of the first real shitcoin to launch on it. So like the underlier is it, you know, it tracks the spot price of Harry Potter of the Bitcoin ticker. And then it settles to that oracle price every day. So imagine a scenario where if that was a perpetual, like the whole community can come and just run the market maker over, and then the market maker still has to cover that position. But if he covers it, like, and there's a liquidation, like he's going to get liquidated into a vapored market. And so it's too easily manipulatable. They don't mess with it. Now, let's just take that one scenario and now say, hey, hey, market maker, you can come trade in this. And every day we're going to guarantee that worst case scenario, you're going to get flat. Like the contract is going to get everybody flat. That's one. And two is the fact that it settles to the underlying spot price. There will be a massive basis that will get created if everybody's trying to jam the derivative higher. They'd also have to go in and like really buy up the underlier, the spot oracle price. But if they're really trying to squeeze the market maker can say, well, look, I have staying power now because I know like I'm only going to need to carry this for another 2 hours, and the spot price is $5 lower, and I'm like super net short. All these people that are trying to squeeze the market maker are going to have to turn and get out because they're going to be offside relative to this. They're already like buying at a premium over the spot, which means that when it expires, they're going to lose. The market maker is going to win.
So you're essentially created a new game of like 24, 25-hour basis trading. Like you were describing to me earlier of like people are looking at the up and the down, whereas seasoned traders and market makers aren't so much caring about the up and the down. They're trading the spread between the derivative and the spot.
100%. And so they know that they're going to settle, that they're going to cash settle to the spot. They don't mind selling it, being short at a premium, leading into the expiration.
What about like a scenario where, okay, they're gonna hold the spot and then they're gonna go the opposite direction by purchasing the zero dated future?
You mean like if they're just, well, they don't have to hedge, right? Like what all the market makers that we speak to about this, they're like, we're not going to hedge it. Like we're just going to wear it. And that way, like they don't, you could hedge it. Like when you get closer to expiration, then yeah, maybe it makes sense because they're like you said, it's this whole new kind of game around trading expiration where, because the future and the spot price have to converge. If they don't, there's a spread there that will settle to the spot, and then like correct. And like you as a trader, if that's trading at a premium and the spot is trading, like if the future's trading here and the spot's trading here, and there's 2 minutes to the expiration, you should be doing whatever you can to sell to close the arbitrage. It's a derivative. It's a future. So all you have to do is you want to short it, you just short it. You just got to make sure like whatever your margin requirement is to short it, that you have enough capital in your account to do the trade. You can you can be at zero, have no assets other than USDC in your account, and go short.
Do you recall what the market cap is for Bitcoin ticker? Because it's got to be. Is it in the tens of millions, hundreds of millions? Because that makes it kind of liquid. Harry bonus Sonic 322 market cap ranking. So it's like it's a bona fide shitcoin, but it's not illiquid. So I wonder, like the test case has got to be, let's throw 100,000 or a 500,000 market cap rank into this and test it live to see if, like, is a market maker going to get boned?
It's a really good question. It's like, I wouldn't put it in the like illiquid camp, right? Like it has some meat on it for sure, but it's definitely not. Maybe it's more of a shitcoin blue chip than an actual blue chip. So.
All right. So I love that you guys are building open source tech. You're putting it out there. You're saying if it doesn't work, okay, go test it. If it does break, it doesn't really matter, because then you'll make the next iteration and then the next iteration and the next iteration, and that's why we're here.
That's right. And maybe it won't be us. Maybe it'll be somebody else, that like another group that's building to Hxro Network that's like, hey, we want to make these modifications, and they do it, and that's the beauty of it, right?
So true. So true. So you know what? I had a couple more questions, but you know what? I'm gonna save it for round 2. Force you to come back onto the Dirty Diggler.
Never, man.
And then all I wanted to round it up with was, you had said in the beginning about, you know, surviving bear markets, and I thought one thing I'd like to start asking guests is like, what's the one thing that you do that's like number one to staying in the game? Health related, fitness related, whatever. What's your thing?
Yeah, I go in and out with it, but what works for me the best is actually like prioritizing sleep. Like I used to not do that. I used to like be like, oh my God, I'm going to stay up 36 hours and work. And the older I've gotten, the tougher that, like, I realized that you can do a hell of a lot more in like 10 hours than you can over 36 hours, like 10 hours with good sleep, and getting your ass to the gym. And then also, like this round, I've been way more self-aware about being present outside of work, and like present with like in real life relationships. And it's very like base human needs stuff. I think that because there's so much fodder that, especially this last round with like just all the craziness with what we came out of, and again, like, yeah, I mean, it's back to that message of like having some focus on self-welfare. And like, you don't want to come out of this disgruntled and not prepared for when the ship turns. And like, the ship is a aircraft carrier that has to turn at port. It takes a while, and a lot of the right things have to line up. And I think that, and then that's health wise, and then just really focusing on building. And I think really focusing on building and tightening up your circle of people that are committed to the cause, and getting up every day and having that be the motivation is pays long-term dividends.
Yeah. No, I align with both of that. That's sagely spoken. Well, you're going to be at Breakpoint, you mentioned?
We'll be at Breakpoint, and we'll be speaking there. And I'm excited to meet you in person and see the rest of the Solana community there. And hopefully this year it'll be at the dead low and not at the dead high.
I'm here for that. My bags agree with you. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Gunny.
All right, man. This was great. I really appreciate it, and look forward to round 2.